Hello, happy St. Patrick's Day and happy Friday. We are super excited to bring this panel to you. This is our Distinctive Angel panel. And this Distinctive Angel Award is awarded to the agent that gives of themselves the most and or has the greatest impact of the community. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to introduce our agents and kind of give, hi Alicia, kind of give a background about them and just share some really kind words. We have Terry. Terry is in our Overland Park office. She loves working with first-time home buyers. She's assisted over 200 families in Kansas and Missouri throughout her real estate career. She embraces a positive mindset and believes that life is too short to linger on the negative. When Terry isn't spending time with her adorable grandson, she volunteers at the Aging Parent Answer Team, Home Matters, and the KCK Hot Lunch Program. Hi, welcome, Terry.
Thank you.
Tim, we're going to jump over to you because you're next on my screen. So Tim is in our Durango office. He is a Colorado native, originally from the Front Range. Tim discovered Durango in the spring of 1992 when he counseled youth at the High Adventure Summer Camp. Tim's love of the outdoors and the small town charm of Durango has kept him in Durango for nearly 30 years. When Tim is not playing with his family, he goes back to his community, volunteering as a leader with the Boy Scouts of America, assisting winter athletes with the Adaptive Sports Association, and believes wholeheartedly in supporting the Durango Food Bank. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you.
Alicia. Alicia was born and raised in Routt County and graduated from Hayden High School. She enjoys the small town comfort of knowing the local business owners and getting to know the new families of Routt County. She wants to offer new and established families the opportunity to discover the curse of the Yampa Valley. When she is not busy raising her two beautiful children, she is assisting her mom, Annette. Just kidding, had to throw that in there because I love your mama. And she keeps herself busy volunteering as the president of the PTA, the secretary of the Hayden School Board, troop leader for her daughter's Girl Scouts troop, and then she volunteers in each of her children's class on a weekly basis. And then we have Nikki from our Grand Junction office. Nikki returned to the Grand Valley after graduating from Colorado State University to raise a family and to pursue the recreation opportunities that are right out our back door. She serves her clients in an authentic, enthusiastic, and knowledgeable way. She works hard to play hard. Nikki's passion is supporting Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels is a program here in our Grand Valley that provides nutritious meals to humans, of course it's to humans, but and it provides a human connection to the people in our community. So that's a great program here that we have locally here. Tasha is now joining us. Hi, Tasha. Tasha is from our Bozeman office with over 15 years of customer service experience. Tasha values the trust that clients place in her. Tasha's enthusiastic and kind nature is perfect to identify her clients' desires and guides them to fulfilling their real estate goals. In between hiking, camping, and cross-country skiing with her husband and 2 children, she finds time to sponsor St. Jude, Caleb Radio, Million Girl Army, and volunteering in the community coaching soccer for the American Youth Soccer Organization, all while supporting the local MSU Bobcats. Eric, hello. Eric is our big fish from Telluride. How are you today, Eric?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good, thanks.
It's a beautiful morning here.
Yes, good. Eric, I'm going to give a little brief bio about you. You have been a Telluride broker since 1981. Your greatest added value and asset is your deep knowledge of the nuances of the real estate inventory and the Telluride market. Last year, you returned to the Just for Kids Foundation Board, which you started about 22 years ago with a local developer. The Mountains to the Desert Classic is a cycling event that you also started 20 years ago this year. You've raised and awarded over $3 million to regional youth organizations and individuals doing good things. Eric is also back on the board of Telluride's Mountain Film Festival, and both you and Ian have delivered Thanksgiving meals and turkeys throughout Norwood and Natarita in November. So welcome. Big round of applause, cheers of excitement for all of our distinctive angels. I'm going to introduce our MC and give a little brief background about Jen. Love Jen. Jen was born and raised in Kansas City. She moved to Colorado permanently in January of 2000. In 2001, she realized that she wanted to help others who had dreams of owning a part of the real estate life that she had watched develop and expand for 30 years, and her real estate career began. In 2021, Jennifer added Cabo San Lucas to her areas of expertise and as an agent with Coldwell Banker Riveras. Woohoo, Jen. In between raising her 2 beautiful daughters, Jen sits on the RPAC Commission, the Vail Board of Realtors Foundation. She works with the Vail Valley Veterans, Mountain Youth and Bright Futures Foundation, and spends countless hours as the head dance mom and production backstage manager for all of the local dance performances. So thank you all for joining us. And Jen, I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks so much, Shawnee. Love your shirt, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody,
Woo-hoo!
our amazing CBDP and Prime families. Excited to have y'all here today, and so thrilled to be able to host this panel. As I do agree with Todd, this is one of the most important things we can do as agents is give back to our community. It's super important for me, as Shawnee has said, and I think as a parent too, a lot of us I know are doing, we are multitaskers in many different ways, in addition to just being there for our clients. And I think this is an incredible way to support the things we believe in and the things that are important and special to us, and go ahead and give back to our community and hopefully round some sales back to us while we're doing that. So this is my favorite award to win, and I think I've won it every year since 2013 here
You
with
have.
Coldwell Banker. So
Mhm.
super proud of that. It's and plus I love the big crystal heart that we get now. So the little hearts I still have all saved, but I like the big ones even better. I can't wait to hear a little bit more about what all of you do. And maybe Eric, since you're our senior realtor
Easy
on the
now.
call and
Easy
have
now.
senior only in years you've been practicing, clearly
Oh, okay.
not in the visual presentation you're joining with us
Nice
today.
recovery.
But we'd love to hear more about what you do and how it's affected your business.
Sure. First of all, getting into the nonprofit world, we talk about influencers today, and it's more on social media. And I have to say that I think probably for all of us, the influencers in our lives are the ones who got us into doing nonprofit work. I had a couple of people here, John Mansfield and Bill Karstens, those two especially, and Wendy Brooks, early on, many years ago, who were already in the nonprofit world working on their own projects, and they brought me in as a board member, and it grew from that. I think it's important for all of us to do the work that we do within our communities. It's really personally very rewarding. In terms of the business, it's just part of our reputation. If we're out there doing good things within the community, people just take notice of that. And ultimately, having a good reputation is ultimately all that we have. And that, I think that pays dividends over the years. So I can't tell you exactly what I've ended up with in terms of business because of the nonprofit work that I've done. But I know it's an important part. It's certainly not what I've focused on. I feel that it's more of a personal obligation to take part in nonprofits. It's great. I enjoy it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Terry, let's jump to you next. I love your enthusiasm always. And of course, as fellow KC gal, I'd love to hear what you're doing, more about what you're doing and how it's affected your business.
I do several little things. Don't serve on any non-for-profit boards, but I do the Aging Parent Answer Team, which is a group of individuals, an estate planner, a long-term care insurance provider, a downsizer, and a healthcare specialist. And we do seminars at senior community centers. We make ourselves available to ask questions and get for those people who are dealing with aging parents or just getting started on what they want their next chapter to be. There's just lots of questions involved with that. I also sit on, I do a lot of stuff with my church. Most of the things I do volunteer wise are with my church. Johnson County Interfaith Hospitality Network houses families in churches. There's 12 churches that participate, and I spend the night at the church 1 or 2 nights a week every quarter. When those families are there with us, it allows them to have a roof over their head, some food, and some company with people that can help them. They also get financial assistance and education to find a new home. So, and then KCK Hot Lunch. So we serve those that are less fortunate than us in Wyandotte County. So
really important. And I'd like to just note on the first topic that you mentioned, which was working with the changing of lifestyle, right? So people aging out of their homes, you're working with the kids. How smart, because my guess is you've picked up a few deals over the years working with that one, right?
I do. I have. Most of the people that I work with are people that I refer to and they refer to me. So I don't necessarily pick them up from the seminars, but I do. We are a networking group in and amongst ourselves. My background is in senior housing, so it's a love of mine. I love working with older adults. They take sometimes 2 to 3 years to incubate, but you know, it's being there, it's being compassionate. And I feel like it's makes me a better human.
Yeah,
to do that.
Well, thank you for all you do, and congratulations on your award. Everyone, you know, everybody on this call, huge accolades go to you, because this is a big deal. We all work so hard in our business, and to be able to give this amount of time back to our communities is incredible. So thank you to you, Terry, and we'll jump over to Tim. Tim, love to hear about kind of the things you're doing and how it's affected your business.
You know, I actually began in the nonprofit world over 25 years ago when I first moved to Durango. And then I, shortly after that, got married and had a family. And obviously my time was somewhat limited, you know, as I tried to put a lot into my family. And obviously we do a lot of what our kids do, you know, so as far as the scouting program, I was grateful to be a part of that. I was a scout back in my youth, and both of my boys went through that. And of course I was the scout leader and helped where I could help. And then as they've gotten older, I just feel like now I have a little bit more time to give back to the community that I love so much, that I've been a part of now for almost 31 years. And for me, it's a great way to just kind of forget about what's going on in my real estate world and just kind of leave that for 4 or 5 hours a week and just try to focus on something different. And it's great for me to be able to do that at this point in my life. And I love it. I actually really look forward to it. There's oftentimes weeks I can't make it during the summertime for obvious reasons with the business. But when I'm there, it's just a really terrific experience. And I honestly didn't start into that whole thing because I wanted to generate business from that. But that has happened organically and naturally, which is great. I think that's where the majority of my business comes from. I've been in real estate only for 5 short years, and it's taken me a few years to kind of figure out where do I want my business to come from and what feels right to me. And it's definitely got to be organic for me, and it's happening, and it's terrific, and it feels great. And to be able to give back, and you know, my big thing now is the food bank, and I run their front desk, so I get to greet everybody, meet everybody, talk to everybody. That's something I obviously really love to do. So I feel lucky to have that opportunity, and I hope I can continue down that road. And I've obviously pulled my kids into it. And if anything specific to the food bank, I just want them to know that that's a resource available to you no matter where you are. You know, I mean, we serve all kinds of populations. My favorite is probably the senior population, but there's college students, there's families, there's you name it, you know, so it's a great thing to be a part of, without a doubt.
And so cool, I think, that you actually started being in a, you know, more in a nonprofit world until you transitioned into real estate. So you kind of did a flip-flop, contrary to the way some of us did it. So I think that's even cooler, and how fun that you're pulling a lot of your clients from that sphere, which are people you like to be with. I mean, I think that's super fun. So congratulations to everything you do as well, and on your awards. Nikki, we'll jump to you next. Same question. Tell us a little bit about how what you do has affected your business.
Well, right now I'm mostly volunteering with Meals on Wheels. And before that, I had been involved with other things that fit with the family. So as I've gotten older, I've been able to have more choice with with how I serve. So with the Meals on Wheels program, I get to go into different neighborhoods. I get to meet people that are homebound, and I also get to interact with all the other volunteers. So it's kind of twofold. I like it because it's mostly in your car, and I can stop between stops if I have to take a call. I can do that. Um, and I just think it's put me in all kinds of neighborhoods across our entire valley. I've discovered places I never knew existed, and I'm serving all economic levels, so I enjoy that as well.
I think that's amazing. Alicia, we'll jump to you next. Tell us a little bit about how what you're doing has affected your business, and then we'll talk to Tasha, and we'll get on some other topics.
Yeah, mainly what I do is also involved with what my kids are doing. And right now they're 9 and 10, so elementary school aged. So I still can go volunteer in their classrooms. They don't need us to do spelling words with them quite as much anymore, but organizing, copying, all that stuff. And that is definitely my chance to kind of recharge for the week. I feel when I don't get to go in and do that, I feel like behind. And so it's pretty important, I guess, just for me mentally, but also I get to know the teachers. I can help them with their housing needs as they change. A lot of people move here, new teachers, we get a lot of new teachers that just need a small rental at first. And then as they fall in love with the area, they are looking for housing, and it's always different if they're, looking to marry or not. And so it's fun to get to help the teachers with that and to get to know them. And I think that's probably how it kind of benefits me emotionally and my kids, but also the community.
I love that. Love that. And also now to you, Tasha, you've got the stage.
Hi. So I also started volunteering, gosh, when I was in high school, coaching soccer. So it's been a part of my life for a very long time. But more recently, my business partner, Nicole, and I actually started a Thanksgiving dinner a few years ago. We had always volunteered at a place. That place actually had a fire, so they could not host the Thanksgiving dinner for the community anymore. So we stepped in. We're like, okay, we got to throw this together. And it's just kind of grown over the last few years that we've been doing it. And that's probably one of my biggest pride and joys, just because we've seen it grow. This year we ran out of food. We served over 350 meals to our community for Thanksgiving. We had so many volunteers that came and delivered food to areas around town where there's just a lot of trailers parked. And so that one has definitely fed my soul. We don't really get a lot of leads out of that one, but that's okay. We do make a lot of connections with all the volunteers, and that's been wonderful. And we have gotten leads from that, which has been really wonderful for our business. But at the end of the day, we are usually crying because our hearts are just so overwhelmed with the stories that these volunteers are giving back to us from doing the food deliveries and everything. And there's one particular place we go and do a delivery on ourselves. And the lady this year goes, I am so grateful that you guys come every year and bring us food. This has just been a huge blessing. And we try to bring dry canned foods and stuff for them and stock it. And it is a senior low income facility. So we try to just give them as much as we possibly can. And she goes, you don't have any idea what this means for all of us here. Thank you so much. And of course we walk away and we're usually crying. So that's my biggest pride and joy probably right now. And then of course, coaching soccer. And so I tried to, for one whole year, I'll coach like my son's league. And then for the next year, I'll coach my daughter's league, just so I get that exposure in the different leagues for them and get time with them, extra time with them. And it's really fun to watch, obviously, like the kids grow and everything through that.
I love that. I think one common thread we've seen is there's things that we think are important as distinctive angels that we want to give back to the community, right? It's things like I heard a common thread. This is what my children do. And I 100% am on that team as well, is that my girls, I was doing some things with the dance, but certainly wasn't 100+ hours in a year working on dance things, running backstages, running the Nutcracker, doing the traveling, setting all these things up. To me, the same thing as you guys too. It's kind of been interwoven with your life, right? And I think that's one of the coolest things is being a real estate agent. You aren't on a set schedule. Don't all the coaches on the line. I know you like schedules. All these coaches on there. Maybe this is part of it, but I remember being told one time in coaching years and years ago, you have to have it on your calendar. You have to have it on your calendar. If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. And I thought, oh gosh, how can I accommodate all the things I do if everything's so scheduled? And I realized you just need to kind of move it around. Things can move around when they need you to I do a lot of hosting. So for me, being on camera, being in front of a crowd, standing in front of a few thousand people, I love that. It's fun for me. And again, it's kind of like having somebody in your car. I always say, you get in my car, we are going to have an experience. This is like you going on your own ride at Disney. I'm going to make this the best day for you. And I think all of that is kind of what you guys have told me, right? Just the same thing with Tim working at the camps. I mean, how cool. You started in nonprofit and then phased into real estate. How amazing is that? So I think that all of us have had the opportunity to do what's important to us. With me, I actually had to use a lot of these services in my life and didn't even know about them. I think for those of us that live in resort communities, in big cities, need is very clear because there's so many different classes that are seen. In the bigger cities, I feel like the need is blatant. In resort neighborhoods, a lot of people don't think we have need. People don't feel like in Telluride, they have a lot of need there because your price point's so high, right, Eric? But you do have a lot of need there. And it's the same in Vail. Our food banks are blank, during winter time, and sometimes during summer, but the housing isn't a big of an issue because people are camping. So I think, everything you guys are doing is absolutely amazing. And we have so many panelists on. I want to make sure everybody gets a fair chance to talk. One of the questions we had is, what would you say to newer agents or possibly seasoned agents that haven't had the opportunity to volunteer or to give back to the community? Where's a good place to start? And we'll again start with you, Eric.
Yeah. It's pretty easy. All of our communities have extensive lists of nonprofits. And I think it's a great idea for new brokers to get involved in whatever resonates with them in their own community. Getting involved in nonprofits, you do make good connections in the community, especially if you're either new to the community or new to the real estate business. Awesome way of doing it. We have a number of festivals in Telluride. Great place to be involved. You meet a lot of people. You meet new people in the community. You meet visitors, and I'm sure all of the communities that are represented here or that CBDP is in. I think there are tons of opportunities. So yeah, absolutely. I think the company should totally encourage young brokers to get involved.
Wow, I love that point. We've heard a lot about Meals on Wheels and doing food banks and working with children, but what a great point with the festivals. If you're into music, if you're into the ski races, if you're whatever you're in, art fairs in the summer, they are always looking for volunteers. And that may just be you standing there handing out directions to people or being a greeter. This isn't hard work, guys. This is being involved and having fun. And that's another thing I need to do more of, is having fun. So honestly, the volunteering for me, that's a big part of it, is I enjoy doing that. And it's almost my excuse to have a little fun is to go host something, because I feel like I'm still doing a little work and don't feel as guilty, but I need to do more fun. So let's switch to you, Tasha, since I ended with you last. And do you have advice for any new brokers or brokers that are interested in getting involved that haven't done so in the past?
I definitely agree with Eric. It's, really about whatever your interest is and you're already doing. I mean, even for us that have kids, sponsoring softball, sponsoring basketball, soccer, whatever, they're always looking for sponsors. It's a really easy way to dip in, get your name out there. And then of course, like for me, before I had my kids, I was volunteering with the Diabetes Association, because that's actually what I did a long time ago. I worked for the diabetes group here in town. And so we put on a bike ride every year. So it was very tangible for me because it's like such a big part of your life when you're doing those things. So just pick something that's easy and tangible if you're just looking to get started, because it makes it easier to transition. And then you realize like how much you love it, and making those connections, and of course, making yourself feel good too. Like I always like get that heartwarming feel like, okay, when people say thank you, you're like, oh, I'm doing something. I'm making that impact. And that always feels good. So once you start doing that, like it starts becoming easier to dive into more.
I love that. And again, like if you're already going to be at the soccer game, why not be the one giving out the water, right? Or coaching, and you go above and beyond. You're actually coaching the team, which takes a lot more time. I mean, to put in the effort, say, okay, I'm there every Tuesday, Thursday, or 5 days a week, or how I can't even imagine. But again, you don't have to start out like that, right? You could start out by being the guy giving out the water, right? So
Yep.
Love that. We'll jump to you, Alicia, and talk a little bit about how you balance your time of doing your volunteer work and giving back to your community and serving your clients.
I think for me to balance both it's almost in the same sense, because I think when people meet me as a real estate agent, I always speak about my kids and about the community and about the schools. And I think it's pretty clear off the bat that I'm a full-time mom all the time, and that's what I do. And I also do schedule out those Wednesday morning time to go into my kids' classroom. So those aren't a time I'm available to do showings unless, yes, sometimes I'm like, okay, I could do Wednesday, but I try
Right.
not to. And I think I'm just very open about, wanting to have time with my family, time with my kids, time in the schools. And so it's pretty easy to balance it out, I think, that way for me. And I think also the schedule is pretty flexible as a real estate agent, for me at least, that you can kind of make that schedule work.
I love that. And we'll jump to you now, Nikki. So on that same line, when you are balancing your schedule and doing that, how have you found that the places that you're putting your hours have changed over the years, or they've been pretty consistent?
Oh, the places I've put over the years. Yes, definitely they have changed. Of course, when the kids were in school, I was active in the school and with their programs. And now that the kids are out of the house, I'm more active, of course, with other things.
Right.
And I definitely have looked for opportunities now where I can bring clients along. So again, one of the things about Meals on Wheels that I just love is that I can bring a client along on a ride along and show them about Meals on Wheels, but I also get, an hour and a half with them in the car
Brilliant.
to chat. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely brilliant. I hope everyone is hearing that. I think it's such a great point. And we talk about that with our Distinctive Angel events. What could we do to really bring our clients in and be able to give them an opportunity as well? And what a great change. I love that you have them in the car, right? Because I always say that was really difficult for COVID with me, is I couldn't have people in my car. I like them sitting next to me, so they're like contained. I think that is absolutely genius. And I do, as I was thinking about just my own volunteering, it has changed. It morphs a little bit. I mean, when you have little ones in preschool, it's different than when you get into the grade school. Now I'm in the high school. Things have been very different and also very personal for me. I've chosen organizations that at the beginning, when I came into this community, there was a start of doing like drug awareness and alcohol awareness and prevention and things like that. Awareness is really important to me at the time. I did own a very large medical marijuana center here as that whole thing was exploding. That whole industry was exploding in Colorado. And so that was imperative to me that I was part of the education that was going on in our community. Once I got that set, they didn't need me anymore. So yes, now I've made that whole nucleus of friends and contacts, and I do volunteer with them occasionally, but I'm not on their board anymore. And I think, doing little bits is great, especially when you have your hands in a lot of different things. I think that was one thing we've heard from several different people is they don't volunteer with one organization, right? They have a couple different places that they like to do work with. And I think it's important that you give that time back where it's important, where it makes sense for you. So I absolutely love that. Anything else that we've missed or Terry, did we talk to you yet? We want to make sure you got to chat about that too. If there's anything we missed that you wanted to add, to me, this is so personal, being a distinctive angel and giving back to your community. I love that we've all been awarded this amazing award, but I love to hear too, on a personal level, anything else you think we've missed or that you'd like to add to the conversation, because I feel like that's really important as well.
Basically, I don't do it for the recognition.
Right.
And it's very uncomfortable for me to be recognized sometimes, because I do a lot of volunteer work in leading at church. And that gets people involved. But it's what you're passionate about. Everybody knows I love to eat and cook and sing. So if I can get somebody involved in that way, and they also know that I've worked with seniors. So I did that 20 years ago, but I'm still a knowledge base for a lot of people. So it's something that gives me joy in educating, and it has to give you joy. So
yeah. I love that. Thank you so much. That's perfect. Tim, we'll jump to you, and just want to make sure everyone gets a chance to say what's important to them regarding this award and giving back to your community. I feel like this is a really personal, it's not just doing a transaction, right? Nothing we do is about just doing a transaction. It's really about making our community a better place on a whole and for each individual person, right?
I agree, and I think really my advice would be just do it. We all talk about the things we want to do, and actually doing what we want to do and what we're speaking of is a totally different thing. And I know for me, I reached a point where it was like, am I able to do this? Do I really have the time? And are you ever really going to have the time? You just have to make the time. So for me, it's relatively simple. I just put it on my calendar and I block that time, and I'm not the best time blocker in the world, but I am with my volunteer time, and there's times I have to call and say, unfortunately, I'm not going to make it. I've got clients in town. Durango's a real destination, but I really do try to stick wholeheartedly to my 1 day a week. And now that I've taken the leap and committed to it, it feels terrific. So my advice would be just take the leap and do it.
I couldn't agree with you more. Nikki, let's jump back to you. Anything else you wanted to add? I know I'm giving you a lot of airtime, right? I saw those eyes.
I'm just going to reiterate, I think you have to find your passion and what's important to you, and then you just melt it into your life so that you can tie your family and your business and all of that together with this and contribute the amount of time or other resources, your knowledge or your funds or whatever. Just contribute what you can. And sometimes you just start small and it grows as your own resources grow.
I agree. And I think, again, the starting small is so important. As I said, you can do something that's an hour commitment of your time, on a Sunday. Maybe you don't have clients on a Sunday afternoon, and you can go do something. Even just if you're going to church, be the usher, right? You don't have to do something extra that isn't already in your calendar. If you're already going, believe me, there's plenty of people volunteering probably anywhere you're going, helping others. And especially in these resort markets, it's a complete no-brainer, because you can just literally throw on a ski suit and go out there and direct people to answer questions, right? I mean, there's so many people who don't know what they're doing. And in the big cities, the world is endless as far as what you can do. And one place I think you can always find, Joey had put something in about looking for new places. During Colorado Gives Day, I find it mind-blowing if you are a part of that Colorado Gives Day, and you can certainly log on and search that Colorado Gives Day, and I'm sure they have it in the other states as well, where it lists all the nonprofits from which you can choose. And it is daunting how many nonprofits there are. If you are interested in flying planes, there's a nonprofit for you. If you are interested in riding horses, there is a nonprofit for you. If you are interested in the soccer or whatever, I think everywhere, anything you're interested in, there's a way to volunteer in that area. And I think that's what I would like to communicate to everyone, is it's awesome to be able to do it. Tasha, how about you? Anything else you wanted to add?
No, I mean, I think that's great. We have a Montana Give Big Day, and that's like the 1st of May, I believe, every year. And they do it all over the state and all these nonprofits. And I know from startup nonprofits, being a part of some of those, that was where you get the most of your money to help what you want to do, accomplish for the next year, and advertising and stuff like that. That's where we got the bulk of our money. So it's huge. And that's a great, really good recommendation to get started, because it gives, I know in Bozeman alone, we have so many nonprofits, and they fill the downtown, and people can partner with businesses downtown, and you can go and learn about each and every one of them. And it's great. So
Love that. So cool. I'm glad they have that in Bozeman as well. And how about you, Alicia? Anything else you wanted to add?
I would just say, if someone's wanting to get started in volunteering and doesn't know where to, I think it's okay if you volunteer somewhere and think, "Ooh, this isn't for me," and decide it's not a good fit. I know I started out with that once my kids were older. I was like, I want to get involved with the community, and I started with Parks and Rec, which was really fun, but my kids weren't old enough to do any of the activities. And so I did create a tumbling for tots activity so that my kids could do something. But I think, and then I just kind of transitioned out of that because it wasn't a good fit, but it was a great experience, and it was great to learn about the activities that you could create if they aren't there. I think that, your communities are always looking for volunteers on multiple boards, art boards, Parks and Rec boards, all of that stuff. And I think it's okay if it's not a right fit at first, and it shouldn't discourage you from looking for a new fit.
I think that's such great advice. And, we talk about the little things you can do to just do an hour here, an hour there. Now we have Alicia talking about actually creating new events, and someone who's certainly done that is Eric. Eric, you've created events that are now ongoing for decades, that have really taken off and are still raising money for people. But I think you and I both sit on boards, and I think that's a different level of commitment time-wise to be sitting on these boards. But it also gives you a different nucleus of people to be communicating with. So would you talk a little bit about that before we end the call?
Sure. You brought up a good and very interesting point. Being on nonprofit boards is absolutely very different from being a volunteer within those various programs. And I've done more board stuff probably than anything, but the most rewarding work that I've done is what Ian and I have been doing for years now at just before Christmas, delivering angel baskets or angel boxes to folks in Natarita and Nukla. It's an amazing wake-up call to affect people on, it's like it's their most important day of the year. And in that case, they are by far the poorest people that we have in this part of Colorado.
And to interrupt real fast for people who don't know, now, Eric, you're in Telluride, and the towns that you're talking about, I'm guessing are smaller surrounding towns.
They're in the west end of our region. They're actually in Montrose County, but they're more affected by Telluride just because there's a road that goes from Telluride to Nukla and Natarita, but there's really not an easy direct road from Montrose. So in many ways, they're more a part of our region. But the point is, when you're actually doing stuff with people and helping them, whatever the nonprofit is, it's so much more rewarding than going to a board meeting. The board meetings are super important, and oh my God, I've seen the transition within boards in Telluride since I started in 1978. It's been amazing how organized and how the governance of boards today is so different. Super valuable, great thing to do, but if you really want to feel it, then you get involved at the volunteer level. So
boots on the ground, baby.
What's that? Boots on the ground. Totally. So you guys are all awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it's an absolute honor to be on this panel and to be award winners with all of you. I will have to say, getting this award to me is such a win. Love getting Agent of the Year. that's amazing, because obviously that helps support my family. But knowing that I've given back to an extent to actually be recognized is, no one's ever even said anything really before. And then this company finds it so important that they actually recognize all of you and me, which was been awesome. I love it. And again, one of the things I really love to do is host. I love hosting. I love being on the microphone. I love being on the stage. And so they call me in now, organizations that I don't even work with, and will say, hey, would you come host our event, do our auction, do this? And so it's constantly getting to meet new people, which is really cool in some of these, in all of our towns, people, it's a numbers game, as they all tell us, it's a numbers game. So hopefully all of this comes back to you tenfold. I congratulate all of you on your win. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. I hope you have a wonderful day and get out there and give back to your community. We appreciate you here at Coldwell Banker Distinctive Properties and Prime Properties. I guess I'll throw to you, Shawnee. Do you want to close this out?
That was a great closeout. So again, Jen, though, you were an award recipient as well too. So thank you for taking the time to be our MC on this. And honestly, we are passionate about this. There are some amazing people on this panel today. And really, we truly appreciate all that you do for us at Distinctive Properties. So have a great day and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great
Bye.
one.
Thank you.